Right, hello and welcome. This is a quick refresh on how to use Photoshop. Okay, now when you're on the school computers, and this only works on the school network, you first of all need to click the start button. You then need to go to Adobe Photoshop. Now what it will ask you to do is it will ask you to enter in your school email address. Just wait for it to fire up. Right, so what you're going to do is you're going to type in your school email address, so it's going to be 4041. My name was Bob Marley, it would be B-O-M-I. If I was in year 10, I'd be 17 at garibaldischool.co.uk. Okay, once you've done that, just click continue. Okay, so it's just logging us in now. Right, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up your work area, so the size. So create new. Okay, now remember for the album there is set sizes for it. Okay, you might want to put it into inches. Okay, or you might want to put it into centimeters. Okay, I think it gives you both. Okay, and you want to set it how wide it's set out and how high it's set out. Also set the resolution to be 300. Now do remember that the size dimensions you need to use are available on the brief sheet, and there are also some examples around the classroom, and they do state the sizes that the album cover is meant to be. Okay, now for mine I'm going to make it 12 inches. Okay, and I'm going to make it 24 inches. Now these are not the correct sizes, so please don't do it. You'll have to look off your own brief sheet. Then you click create. Okay, now I've made a mistake on this, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go image rotation, and I'm just going to turn it round. Okay, now the first thing you want to do is you'll want to set your guidelines out to split your album cover in half. So to do that, it's really easy. Go view, rulers. Okay, I'm going to drag out a guideline and it should snap to the middle, which it has there. And I'm also going to set up just a very, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. If you make a mistake, just do Control Z or Edit, Undo. So just going to set out a little margin. Okay, this will be the print margin. And I'll make sure any text go over the margin itself. Okay. Now, the next thing you want to do is make sure you set up your right hand side. So you only ever want to have your layers in your history window. There's only ones for this task that you're going to need. So all I did there was found the layers window. If for any reason you can't see it, you can get it back by going window, layers, and the other one I'm going to use is history, which is this one here. Okay, so history's not there, so I'm just going to click it so it appears. And I want to drag these across for now so they're separate. So I'm going to drag this one over here. I'm going to get my layers, and I'm just going to snap it onto there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these other bits because we don't need them. So right click on the grey area, close tab, right click, close tab group, right click, close tab group. Just get this one back out. Close it down too, right click, close tab group. And I'm just going to drag this and it'll snap. You'll notice when the mouse touches the side it goes blue, and I can switch between my layers and my history. Make sure before you set up your window that you set it up like this. Now if I just fire up pixels, okay, so if I go into pixels, okay, so if I fire up pixels, and I'll go on there and I just want to find a picture to use. Let's find a picture of, I don't know, space. Okay. Remember, there's two ways you can get pictures into Photoshop. Way one is the easy method, is to copy and paste. Make sure that you're always using big images. Okay. If the image pastes into Photoshop and it's tiny, it's not going to be high enough resolution for this task. So here you go, I've made sure I've opened up the big image, there it is, and to get it into Photoshop I can just right click, copy image, and make sure obviously that you save the URL and list it in your asset list so you can fill your sources table in later on, and then go into Photoshop, edit, paste. Okay, now I can see there that that's far too small, so that's not going to be a good image to use on this particular thing. So I'm just going to go edit, undo. Okay, let's see if there's a bigger version. So if I go free download, and that's the biggest I can get. Okay, now it might be because I've set my document up to be too big. Okay, naughty Mr. Connolly. So for now I'm just going to use this one. But you'll see what I mean about being pixelated. So if I paste it in, paste, I'm just going to press Control and T. So that's transform. Make sure you've got the layer selected you want to resize. So Control and T. I'm just going to spin it. If I hold Shift down, I can just lock it when I spin it. Okay, and I'm just going to resize it. Resize it again. And then when you're happy with it, press enter. And remember, it will be pixelated while you're resizing it. And then when you press enter, it'll go slightly clearer. But you will see, if I zoom in now, that it isn't the best quality image. It is still pixelated, so I wouldn't recommend using this one. Okay. Now, the other way you can get images into Photoshop is to place them. And in the new version of Photoshop, you need to go File, Place Embedded. Okay. Pictures. What I can use here. So what I did there is I just put it into preview mode, which is this one here, and set it to large icons. It lets you see the pictures. Okay, let's go for this one. So then what you can do is you can then paste your image in. Okay, resize it to make it as big as you want. And then when you're happy with it, again press enter. But this is the thing, when you place anything like that, you'll notice that what Photoshop does, it puts this little icon in the right hand corner of the thumbnail. Now what that means is that this image is locked from you being able to edit it. If we want to edit it, we need to do what's called rasterizing. So what you'll need to do after you've placed it is right click on the image, rasterize the layer. That little box will disappear, and you now can edit it, okay, as you so wish. So there you go, I can rub parts out of it if I wish. Okay, now you have got this tool which is called the Move tool. So if I click on the layer, so if I want to move the background, I click on the background layer, I can move it. I want to move the top one, click on it, get the Move tool, double arrows, and then you can move it where you want it to go. Okay, remember you can snap to your guides, put it exactly where you want. Okay, now you've also got this tool here which is called the Selection tool. Okay, and if you hold it down you can do either a circle or a rectangle. So if I select the layer, I want to cut a part off. So say I want to cut the bottom of the alien off. I can get my rectangle marquee tool, stretch it across, hit delete. Ooh, he's peeping over the top. Okay, now if you get a selection, it'll flash like this. To get rid of the selection, or to get rid of the flashy lines, you need to go through a process called deselecting, which is Control and D. Okay, now you might think, oh, actually it looks rubbish, so I don't want to do that selection. So I'll go to History. Okay, you've got your last moves up in your History window, and then we can get it back. Okay, and remember to get rid of the selection, it's Control and D. Okay, now another thing you might want to do is add text to your graphic. So you get the text tool. Okay, when you get the text tool, you'll notice eventually that you'll get along the top bar where you can change the font style. Now make sure you reference your house style storyboard, because you should have listed what house style, what font style you're going to use. I'm just going to use this one for this. Okay, you can change the font size, and do remember, once you've wrote your text, you can also transform it. So once you've wrote your text out, you can do Control and T, and you can resize it that way as well, but you can do it there. And then you can also change the colour, and you've also got tools here where you can change how you align the text, and you've also got this button which will bring an additional box up where you can change your letter spacing. Okay, I'm just going to click that to get rid of it for now. Let's change the colour to white. Now I'm gonna actually make my writing 150, because I've got a feeling that I've made this really so large that it's going to be. There you go. So we've got our text in. Say, and then again, what I can do is I can get the move tool, making sure I've got the text layer. There it is, Connolly 1. I can move it to exactly where I want, and then if I do Control and T, making sure we're on that layer, I can then resize my text. When I'm happy, press enter. Remember, you need to press the enter key to get rid of the size boxes. Okay, and then we've got our text in. Okay, now another thing you might want to do is you might want to add effects. So to add effects, all you do is right click on your layer, blending options. Okay, choose the effect. So in this one, what I'm going to add is I'm going to add a colour overlay, which will just change the colour. So if I just click, you can see it's done it, but if I just click on it there, I can actually change the colour that it changes it to. Okay, or you can add things like drop shadows. It's a bit hard to see there because it's green. You can add a gradient. You can add a pattern. Okay, you can make it 3D. There's lots of different effects you can mess around with. You can add a stroke. A stroke is an outline to the text. So if I click on that and let's make it so we can see it red, and then if I make the size bigger, you'll see it gets a stroke around the edge. Okay, so they're effects. Okay, now the next thing you might want to do is you might want to add some shapes. So if you want to say add a background to your text, what you can do is get the rectangle marquee tool, okay, this one, create a selection over the area you want to put the marquee, so I'm going to do it here. Now go over to add a new layer, so this one, I'm just going to drag this layer under my text, okay, choose the colour you want the box to be, so click on the colour box down here. I'm going to make it blue. Horrible colour choice, but I'm going to do it. Go and get your paint bucket. Now when you open up Photoshop, you get the gradient tool on top of the paint bucket. So to get the paint bucket, you need to hold the button down, get a paint bucket, make sure you've got the colour selected, make sure you've got your selection, make sure you've added a new layer, and then once you've done that, you can colour it in. Now, you can also use the gradient tool to add a gradient to your box. So you might decide, if I just go back to the gradient tool instead, and you might decide that you want to make it blue. Let's go green, because everyone knows blue and green are the best colours in the world. Come on. Okay, so then I can click OK, and then I can add a gradient to my box. Okay, another little trick with the gradient is if you go to this option here, where is it? I'm just going to leave the gradient. You can have a play around with the gradient. Okay, now the last thing I want to show you very quickly, so I have gone through quite a lot of the skills you'll need, but last thing I want to show you very quickly is the filters. Now if you want to add a filter to your drawing, I'm just going to cancel that selection. Remember, Control and D, deselect, I'm going to go to my alien. I'm then going to go up to here where it says filter. I'm going to go to where it says filter gallery. So filter gallery. And then what you should see, and I'll just zoom out so we can see it. Here's my alien. What I can then do is I can add some effects, so I can maybe make it look painted. Make it look like a watercolour. Okay. I might decide to distort it. Okay. I might decide to stylize it. This is always a cool one. Okay. And then if you've added the effect, and obviously this is a higher level skill, you can then click OK, and the effect will happen. Okay. Now the last thing I want to show you is how you save your file. Now remember, with Photoshop, there's two ways to save. We save the actual project file, which is called a PSD file, the editable file. So File, Save As, save on your computer. Make sure you're saving it in the area you want to save it. Okay. Now with this, remember we need to save a version at every lesson you're working on it. So if this was my album cover, it would be album cover version 1. Okay. And remember then next lesson you'd save version 2, version 3, so on and so forth. Okay, a little box will come up, just click OK. When you want to save the JPEG, when you want to export the actual image file, to do that we go File, Export. Sorry, no we don't. No we don't. We go File, Save As. Oh, it's the reason it's not done that is because it's saving. Yeah. When you want to export the output file, we actually have to just save it again, but we need to change the file type from PSD to JPEG. So we'll just hopefully let this trickle up. Come on, it's because the file's massive. Silly me, I should have made it smaller. Come on. Come on. Right, so it's saved now. So when we want to export the JPEG, we go File, Save As, Save on your computer, change this to, oh, look how big it is, it's 700 meg. Make sure you check the sizes and make it correct to the actual sizes, otherwise I have more storage space on my computer than you. You might end up where you haven't got space to save it. So I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Okay, album cover 1, click Save. You can change the quality setting. Okay, I'm going to leave it as 8. You can make it higher if you wish. Click Save. And then if I go into my iMedia file now, you should see it's 9 megabytes, so that's a huge JPEG. But if I click on it and I right click and I go open with photos, you can see it's there. Okay, so what I've done is I've not gone over everything. Okay, I've only gone over the basics, but using those skills that I've just shown you there, you should now have an insight of how to use Photoshop to create your product. And also you'll be able to rewind this video to go to the certain parts where I've shown you how to do things and set it up. Okay, good luck.